Dear baby, I saw you, white and skin in color, the size of my thumb, like an ivy mold, shape of an embryo that I used to draw in my biology class. You had just gushed out of me in a welter of blood and white tissue. So I took you in my hand, placed you on my palm, shivering in the cold thrust the wind made against my naked body that stood frozen in a pool of blood. I looked at you, carefully, trying to figure if the little impressions were where your organs would have matured, your eyes, your fingers, and how beautifully you would have grown inside me. But I had become scared and lonely after your father left me. He was 22, I was 21, and we both had known love like seasons of wind, like sun and moon, like a man and his wife. But our love wasn't long-lived. He was a sailor, always in pursuit of new adventures, and I was a giver, swooning in my whirlpool, always wishing a happy ending for my own fairy tale. Until one day, 2 pink lines changed my life and marked your arrival. He panicked, got scared, blamed at me, screamed at me. "It isn't mine," he said repeatedly, and vanished from my nights, from my life, from my sight. In a moment, it was all over. Suddenly, it had all came crashing down. My fairy tale crushed in its own castle. I was living with a lie. In fact, I became a living lie. So I shut myself in a room with despair and numbness, unable to feel you, almost forgetting you, trying to sink in the cowardice my sailor had just shown. How could he protect the country, I thought, when he could not protect me? But I was a sailor's lover. I had to be brave for the both of us, to look after you and save you from the wrath of society and shackles of stereotype mindsets. But I was just 21, unmarried and ambitious, with a gift from a stranger. Yes, now, he felt like a stranger, on which I had already wasted 3 loving years. That felt like a lifetime of love. But I couldn't have wasted any more on you. So I decided to take care of you. "Are you alone?" the gynecologist asked. Yes, and how? I wanted to cry out. But I nodded with a blank face, trying not to think of him. "Do you want to keep the baby?" she asked. I wondered at the ease with which she questioned. Was that even a possibility? It wasn't, really. I figured from the look in her eyes. So I came back home with a pocket full of tablets and a heart heavy with grief for what I was about to do. But now, I grieved you more than I grieved him, as I saw your lifeless body kept on my palm. 10 weeks old, I think, and my legs bathed in blood. I wrapped you in a tissue, put you in a box on the top of the outside bin. Crying and sobbing and howling, I cleaned myself, washing you and his remnants away from my now weakened body. Later that night, I woke up restless, scared that the dogs would have nibbled on you. So I went out hurriedly, opened the box and found you safe. And surprisingly, in months and weeks, I finally had a sigh of relief. How could I do this to you? I thought, crying. I know you were born out of love. Then why did it feel like a mistake? A mistake that I had to now correct. So next morning, I went to the garden down to bid you a final goodbye, bearing my pain, grief and fear away with you. And though I was your mother, you gave me a new birth. And in all my attempts to save you, darling, I ended up saving myself. And since that day, I have been loving and living fearlessly, without any apology. because for my abortion, sorry, but I am not sorry. Yours truly, your mom.